We are talking about the future of geoengineering and this crash course it seems to be on into the world of conspiracies. Now, geoengineering is basically an umbrella word for altering the atmosphere or climate on purpose. And now there's this nationwide push to ban it, and it is growing. And a lot of it's being fueled by conspiracy theories like these.
If you've ever looked up and seen long white trails stretching across the sky, you're not the only one. Some people point to them as evidence of a secret spraying program.
Oh look, it's my daily dose of governmental poison. Oh my goodness. Wow. It's not gonna miss me this time. No siree.
So is this an attack within? Like, what is going on? Somebody gotta answer to this, man.
All right, so there's videos like that you see on social media, but now some of those fears seem to be turning into floor votes. 3 states have passed bans already. 28 states have proposed bills so far. But the thing is, it doesn't seem to be any big weather modification projects beyond some of the cloud seeding programs that we've seen in use out in the West for decades. But a lot of conspiracies seem to think that those exist. Let's bring in NBC News' science reporter Evan Bush to kind of separate fact from fiction here. He wrote a really interesting piece on all of this a little bit earlier. Thank you so much for being with us. What are lawmakers trying to stop right now?
Thanks so much, Gotti. Really appreciate it. So lawmakers, let's start with the chemtrails theory. It's unfounded. There's nothing to it that scientists, will say is real. So I reached out to more than a dozen lawmakers. The story I wrote, only 2 responded. One said he wanted to stop chemtrails. He's a true believer in the unfounded theory. And another said he didn't know exactly what to think about chemtrails, but his constituents wanted a ban on them. And he listens to his constituents. He said he didn't find any evidence of weather modification, but he targeted his legislation to address cloud seeding because he thought it would help him pass the bill and serve his constituents.
Yeah, and just to, set the record straight. Look, I'm a kid from New Mexico. If there's anybody that takes conspiracies and goes down every single rabbit hole and sniffs around for anything, trust me, I am one of those guys, right? Chemtrails, let's just set the record straight here, condensation, right? From everything that we've seen, from the science that we know about, these are jet planes that today you can track on jet tracking apps. It'll tell you what flight that is, where that flight is headed, and you can also check the atmospheric conditions, and you can see all of that stuff line up. Now, there is something to be said about putting ominous music on any sort of TikTok or social media posts, but there is something inherent about us humans that sees something like that, looks for patterns, and does want to believe, right? Does that play into this?
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. 3 states you mentioned that have enacted these bans, they're getting just a flood of messages to hotlines that they've set up for citizens to report their concerns about weather modifications. And I've seen reports from 2 of those states. They're filled with anger, confusion, just disbelief that nobody's doing anything about these clouds that they're worried about. And, it's a lot of innocuous pictures of airplane contrails, but it's, concerning to people. These ideas take hold, and we're seeing that they're fueling legislation in 28 states, like you mentioned.
Interesting. This makes me think of this company, Rainmaker, that we were talking to out of El Segundo. And we were talking to the founder a little bit earlier this year, and he was talking about how he was receiving death threats because his company, they put up drones and they cloud seed with that silver particulate. And again, these are very small drones. He wishes he could change the weather. Trust me, this guy has big, ambitious plans to try to bring moisture down across the West and in the dry areas. But they were doing this very, very small cloud seeding operation. They were very transparent about what they could do and how limited that technology was. And he was just talking about all the death threats that he got after a cloud seeding operation that happened to be in the days before the big storms came through Texas that led to a lot of deaths. He walked us through the science. He walked us through where they were, showed us very specifically how this was in no way related to deadly storms that we see every single day. And yet the vitriol that you saw in those comments, like it does seem like we've gone from people commenting online to now legislation being considered in the halls of these state legislatures, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's a real opportunity, instead of having each state go through and make its own legislation for federal action here to make, citizens feel safe and like they understand what technology is being applied in their area. The NOAA, the atmospheric agency, does require anybody who wants to do weather modification of any kind to fill out a report. But regulators have found that those reports have been flawed, and that's led to some concerns that the federal government, if it just kept better track of everything, would make people feel more cozy about what was going on in their airspace, the public's airspace.
A lot of that, though, I mean, look, again, the government historically has given us many reasons to raise our eyebrows when they talk about what can and can't be done. Are there things on the horizon when it comes to geoengineering that we should be kind of concerned about, that there should be lines drawn in the sand?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so there are scientists who are very concerned about geoengineering ideas. There's kind of wild stuff, stratospheric aerosol injections. That's not happening. This is all, in theory form. No one's tested this in any way at scale. But it involves, putting particles into the atmosphere that would dim the sun, basically. And that's something that scientists really want to make sure that it's tested, it's safe before it's used.
Yeah, it is a very, very confusing time. Best to just slow down and realize how much we don't know sometimes. And yet, again, I always kind of look to what science can tell us. Evan Bush, we really appreciate you stopping by. A fascinating report. Thank you.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.